Tom.
As campaigns officer, it's during Disability Week, and you've been told that there's a guy coming in who's lost both his legs, and he's going to give a talk. When would you do this talk, and how would you encourage as many people as possible to come along with us?
So, did you say when would, or where?
When, how, yeah, where?
Okay. So a talk to sort of encourage people to understand. Right. I would probably. But it needs to be somewhere that is accessible to him. So perhaps somewhere, probably it would not be in Castle, somewhere with disabled access within Durham. Encourage the students. It would have to be near to the castle. I would perhaps do it earlier on in the week so that people become engaged in the talk. And I often find we had quite a few talks similar to that at school, and they were very engaged, and people got very sort of excited about it and interested about it, and talked about it a lot. So if you put it at the beginning of the week, it gets people much more involved in the event.
Yeah, obviously agree with Katrin that it wouldn't be within Castle because it's not particularly accessible. I'd probably have it somewhere relatively informal, so it's kind of quite a relaxed kind of feeling, and to encourage people to come, offer probably I don't know, a buffet or something to make it more of an event, so it's kind of a longer thing, and again informal, so people can speak to him afterwards, and possibly have someone from Castle or the university speaking as well. Yeah.
Anyone else with some questions?
Yeah. How would you improve your internet-based or sort of electronic communications as campaign officers?
Is this me again? I think I'd encourage the use of Facebook and have, like I mentioned in my manifesto, have a campaign's Facebook page which would include blogging and a lot more kind of visual aspects to it. So if, for example, there's posters and things up around Castle, have them put it across the internet as well to make sure that livers out and people in college which don't pay particular attention to posters and things see them. And also with regards to the internet, for example, if there's say an event or something that's on in the Undu, take a picture and actually upload it so it's out kind of on news feeds so people see exactly what's going on, so they kind of actually get involved, and it's giving people an actual kind of visual image of what's happening. So I think that's a really important aspect and something which can really be built on from, obviously, because More Than Live have a welfare page on Facebook now, and there's a lot more that can be done there to make sure that everyone feels kind of, like they know what's going on.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Jen with the whole Facebook thing. I mean, I think that is the main way in which we communicate with each other, and it's the best way to get any information out nowadays is through using Facebook. I also thought that that Daisy's idea of putting some information in the newsletter that goes out every week is a fantastic way of sort of catching people's attention when people do read it. Continuing to email people and perhaps sort of using other social networking sites such as Twitter, just to really sort of get it out there and sort of make it sort of maybe a more modern sort of role.
Do you have any experience running a team or in promoting or advertising
Yeah, I'm currently on the exec for the Durham University Women in Business, and that's very much sort of a role that what we basically do is sort of bring large companies, sort of big law firms and banks that are looking sort of to promote themselves within Durham. So my role is then to organise a big networking event for them within Durham, encourage our members to come along. So sort of, yeah, there's a big organisational role there. We usually do it in a team of 2 or 3, sort of organising the event, sort of sending out the information, promoting it around Durham. So that's sort of promotional side of it, and sort of working in a team. Yeah, so that's sort of my experience in that.
Firstly, I was deputy head girl at my school, and obviously a big part of that was with socials and all the different events going on within the sixth form, making sure that everyone knew about them and you know, making sure that they were kind of accessible for everyone, so people wanted to come. So that was obviously, you know, promotion, etc., and also organisation, working within a team. And there is a group of prefects as well, which we'd, you know, delegate stuff to. I'm also women's hockey captain, so again, it's organisation, etc. And something which I take quite seriously is the social side and kind of team spirit side of our team. And I think it's really important that people stay involved. So as well as doing trainings and things like that, I do like specific stuff which, you know, is like outside of training time, which kind of I promote to them to get them to come.
Yeah, Dave.
What was your main motivation going into this position?
Well, I've wanted to run for campaigns really since Freshers Week, but I think my main motivation is just to, like, what I want to bring to the role and the things I want to change in it. I mean, seeing like my friends which are in welfare, they do so much, and it's for like the right reasons. And when people don't take it seriously, and when they don't see the kind of, I don't know, it's such a broad kind of area, and you can get so much out of it. And I want to kind of use it as a way to kind of encourage people speaking about, because all the issues are technically relatively taboo subjects, and I want people to feel comfortable speaking about these things like mental health and, you know, all the other campaigns. So really, I think it's to kind of like encourage more of a relaxed kind of feeling in our community. Yeah.
My main motivation is probably, I think I'm quite keen to sort of ensure that Livers Out are sort of kept fully integrated within Castle. I think it's quite an interesting role to sort of keep that side of the Castle sort of alive. Like I think that is something that is particularly unique to Castle, and I think we need to harbour that, and in which case I think I'd be quite good at that. I also think that the campaign sides of things, it's a fantastic sort of opportunity to get involved with Castle, sort of be a part of the exec, which is fantastic and sort of really does keep the Castle going. Yeah.
I've got a question. So there's also like an emotional side to campaigns with being part of the welfare team. How would you ensure that you separated what's going on the welfare team side with your own personal life?
Yeah, I think that is quite a bit difficult one to sort of answer, because it is very hard to sort of separate the two. It's hard just to switch off the thoughts that you, what you've just had to deal with. I would probably allocate a time where I know that is sort of time for myself and for work. I think you've also mentioned that sort of having the welfare rep there as well to sort of discuss things with is a really good way of sort of dealing with that sort of side of things, and sort of being able to talk to someone about your issues or some of the thoughts you may have is a good way of offloading it and then sort of moving on and trying to forget about it for the time being and then coming back to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true. Kind of building on that, just remembering, like, I mean, in Daisy's Husts, they were speaking about like properly taking care of yourself and things like that to make sure that you're actually ready to deal with stuff. And in terms of, you know, just making sure that I'm, you know, stable in my own life, so keeping on top of work and everything like that, so that I'm ready to deal with anything else, and just remembering and being realistic that even though like I am welfare, I am allowed to be affected by it, and I think that is in itself enables you to kind of, you know, deal with it and then again like move on from it. So, yeah.
Yeah,
What's
Wally.
your least favourite campaign and why?
Okay. I think my least favourite campaign is probably LGBT, because I think it's the easiest to kind of get wrong. You have to be extremely careful with stuff like that, because the name in itself is labelling people, and the whole point is you're trying to pull away from that and show that everyone's equal, and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, that's my least favourite. It's not. I don't like labelling and things like that.
Mine would probably be alcohol awareness. I think it's very difficult to find the line between sort of being patronising with people who are either your age or older than you and telling them why they shouldn't be drinking. It's a very sort of difficult position to be put in, especially in our university, where sort of societies and sports clubs, you are standing up against quite a difficult group of people to sort of tell them not to be drinking as much as they do. So yeah, probably alcohol awareness would probably be my least disliked welfare week.
Yeah, Robin.
Okay, this is related to Ali's question. I want you to choose your favourite campaign. So could you give us a rap or a song about why it is your favourite campaign? Or a ditty or a poet? Okay, no, change the question. What's your favourite tune?
Okay. Why was the crab asked to leave the club by the bouncers? Because he was giving it all that.
Okay, I think someone in this room actually told me this one, but I really liked it. Oh, okay. What's pink and fluffy? Pink fluff. What's blue and fluffy? Pink fluff holding its breath. Thanks, Robin.
Good.
How do you strike a balance between making the campaign successful to everyone, but equally not patronising to adults?
I think, obviously, each campaign would be unique to itself, but what I think is really important, and again, this is why I think that being Live Us Out rep and welfare actually really complement each other, is by continuously thinking that you're doing it also to try and pull people back into college and make people come. That really makes you think about whether you yourself would go to something or what you yourself would think if you read something. And I think that's how you'd keep away from being patronising, and ensuring that all the information that you're kind of giving, or the things you're setting up, are actually going to be taken in the right way and therefore actually be taken on board by the person.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to find that balance. I think something that's quite important maybe is to sort of get to people our age as they sort of choose to communicate, and one of the ways is by doing that is of course through sort of Facebook and social networking like that. Promoting the welfare campaigns. I also think my idea of sort of having some welfare reps stood outside the dinner hall, sort of in a more informal, relaxed manner where people can sort of just discuss and talk about things, is quite a good way of sort of getting the issue out there. And I definitely think sort of when people start talking between themselves and within groups about certain issues that are covered by the welfare team, it's always going to sort of, people are going to take much more away from that than just sort of being bombarded with information. Yeah.
Charlie.
You'll be involved in organising Freshers Week. Are there things that you think work well and or not so well in the Freshers Weeks in recent years?
I think the Freshers Weeks have been quite successful. I think what we do need to focus on is ensuring that everybody is involved. Freshers' Weeks do tend to sort of encourage or sort of be adapted to those who are already able to sort of socialise and are already quite outgoing. And the difficult part of it is then trying to sort of encourage those who find it more difficult to talk to people and socialise and sort of meet people, and bringing them sort of out the woodwork. So putting on some more events that are based on, say, one idea I have is sort of maybe on the first evening doing something like a game show or something where people are working in teams and sort of talking that way, and it gets people who aren't who are more reluctant to sort of talk about things, sort of being able to bond over sort of more sort of like trivial things, and sort of really getting people involved in Castle.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, what I think worked well on kind of like the FREP kind of like exec side was the fact that, you know, this year all the kind of late nights and stuff like that were changed so that different FREPs had specific late nights so that we could all like work like really well throughout the week instead of being really tired. In terms of, you know, what's put on for the freshers, I mean, I think that our Freshers' Week was really successful, and the second one was successful. I think the second one was more successful because the events were, and the actual specific nights were just such good like themes, etc. But I think one nice thing which would be kind of nice in terms of helping people relax in would be if we had like FREPs kind of just walking around in the day at times, like around the kind of student accommodation and just knocking and speaking to people, so that if they do have questions and they're relatively shy or don't want to come and speak to say welfare or the FREPs, you're kind of going to them and meeting them halfway, so you're not waiting for them to kind of, because obviously it's extremely intimidating. So yeah, I think that would be quite a nice idea.
I've got 3 parts to my question. 1, what is the purpose of a campaign? Or what do you think is the purpose of a campaign? 2, do you think it's successful? And 3, if not, how would you change it? How would you make it better?
I think this is actually, that's quite an interesting question, because I think the purpose of campaigns sometimes, I don't know, maybe I just see them as differently, but I think sometimes they're missed because they're taken quite literally. But I think the overall purpose is to not just make people think, but make people talk. And by making people talk, it's, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's making people relax, and that in itself is, you know, exactly what you want. What was the second part to your question?
Do you think it works?
Yeah, and again, I think it does work, and I really want to build on what Morv's done, because, you know, I mean, like for example, like when they have like the mocktail bar, that's exactly what works best, when it's like an interaction and it's creating like a dialogue in the JCR, people are speaking about it, and yeah, I think that's like, again, coming back to the stuff I was saying about, you know, with open debates and stuff, and also with relation to the internet, having things like, you know, quizzes where you send them out and there's kind of like a prize, so people answer questions about it and they're thinking about it. Yeah, so in terms of whether they work, I think they work when they're more, you know, again, interactive, and less just, say, like a poster with a fact on. You know, we want people to kind of really, really think and talk. What was the last bit?
You don't have to answer that, because that was, if it doesn't work, what would you do?
Okay.
What was the first part?
What's the purpose of it?
Okay. Yeah. So I think the purpose of a campaign is sort of to raise awareness, ensure that sort of you start planting some ideas in people's heads. You can start discussing them, sort of thinking about whether it's something that's applicable to them, or perhaps someone in their friendship group, or, you know, someone who's around them. Sort of just to sort of, yeah, raise awareness of it really within Castle. It also sort of draws more attention to the fact that the welfare team is there, and sort of there for people to go and chat to them if they feel that they need to, and sort of a constant reminder of that is always beneficial. Do the campaigns work? yeah, I think to a certain extent the campaigns do work. I think they need to be more promoted better. They need to sort of maybe put on some more events in the Undie. I think sort of things like the alcohol awareness, like the drinks spiking, sort of that works really well. So, you know, some more things that are sort of accessible to people, you know, our age, sort of, so making it more fun and not so sort of dry is perhaps the way that it can be improved.
One more question, or just shut? No, okay.